Today I'm making 4 recipes from Nothing Fancy by Alison. I have had this book since 2019, around when it came out, and I haven't cooked a single thing from it. So I figure it was about time, and why not make an episode about it? I'm making the sticky chili chicken with hot and sour pineapple on page 196. I'm making tomatoes dressed in toasted fennel and anchovy on page 112. I'm making the celery salad with sesame and cilantro because she recommends that it goes with the chicken. And I'm also gonna do a dessert. Hibiscus-roasted peaches with brown sugar breadcrumbs. First up, the chicken. I happen to love sweet and savory. I love pineapple on pizza. I'm a big fan of pineapple in general. And so when I see sweet chili, sticky chili, chicken and hot and sour pineapple, I'm like, ooh, I'm probably gonna like that. This recipe says it serves 6 to 8. I'm doing a half recipe just because it seemed like a lot. So I need to remember to cut everything in half as I go. You needed 4 pounds of bone-in skin-on chicken. I'm using 2 pounds and I'm using thighs. And then I did this part ahead of time, but you just need to season the chicken with salt and pepper and then make a marinade with brown sugar, rice wine vinegar, chili paste, fish sauce, lime juice, and crushed red pepper flakes. And some garlic went in there too. And toss the chicken in that. I didn't have as much chili paste as it calls for here, so I'm just gonna hope that that's okay. Also, there is a child in this household at the moment, so I'm hoping that this won't be too spicy so that he'll have some. So the chicken has been marinating in the fridge in this marinade for a good hour or so. Then it says to preheat the oven to 425. My oven's already heating. And to place the chicken and pineapple on a rimmed baking sheet. Ooh, I don't have the pineapple prepped yet. So I'm gonna put the chicken on there. Got this rimmed baking sheet here. And then I'll handle the pineapple. You know, I find I barely ever marinate chicken. Like when it's just a regular night at home, it's just not a step that I often do. I'll just use a lot of seasoning. I'll put some kind of nice sauce with it. I might put something on it right before going in the oven, but I don't usually take the time to marinate it. Mostly because I don't like ending up with a bunch of leftover marinade and then another dish that I need to wash. It's mostly just out of sheer laziness. Okay, so it calls for half a pineapple. I'm using a quarter for my half recipe here. Peeled and cored, cut into 1.5 inch spears or wedges. I'm thinking like spears like this, and then in half, something like that. It says drizzle the remaining marinade over everything and then place in the oven. Okay, that's cool. So I'll use up this marinade here. I like that. I like that we're using it all. Okay, and then I'm gonna pop this in the oven, 425 for almost an hour. While that's roasting away, I can move on. I think I'll do the tomatoes next. So this is tomatoes dressed in toasted fennel and anchovy. I need 2 tablespoons of crushed fennel seeds. So I'll crush those first. And I'm gonna do a full recipe of this because I have the tomatoes and I feel like I'm gonna like it. How crushed? I don't really know. I'm just gonna break them until I can start to smell the fennel. And then we need 1/2 cup of olive oil. I'm gonna heat that in a small pot, add the fennel seeds, add the Aleppo pepper or chili flakes, and the anchovies, and swirl it around till everything's melted nicely for 2 to 4 minutes. That's happening. Tomatoes, I need 2 to 3 pounds of smallish, very ripe tomatoes, which is exactly what I have because my tomato plants are kind of giving me their final push here. I'm not gonna weigh these. I think that this is probably 2 to 3 pounds pretty safely. This fennel mixture started to really frizzle up and kind of bubble up right away. So I'm gonna call it done. Oh, I forgot about the anchovies, shoot. How many is it? 8 anchovy fillets, woo. So I'm hoping that the residual heat of the oil will just melt these because I don't really want to toast the fennel anymore. That's about 8. I'll just kind of mash those in to get them started. Back to the tomatoes. I use this shallow bowl. This is pretty shallow. It's a little bit big, but that's fine. I'm gonna do a bunch of random cuts here, like some sliced ones, some halved ones. I'll just chuck these in the bowl. And then drizzle with some vinegar. Okay, so the vinegar just goes straight onto the tomatoes. Got some red here, 2 tablespoons. Drizzle with the vinegar, scatter with more anchovies, spoon the fennel anchovy mixture over the top with flaky salt and a few grinds of pepper. I don't think I want all of it on there. That's a lot of oil. I think that's plenty. So I have a lot of fennel anchovy oil left over. I guess that's fine. And some pepper. And let's give it a try. Nice. I like crunching into the fennel seeds. They're just kind of nicely seasoned, really nice tomatoes with crunchy fennel seeds. Okay, I approve. Next, I'm gonna make the celery salad with cilantro and sesame. I already have toasted my white sesame seeds. I did that a little bit earlier. Very careful not to burn them, and I got really close to burning them. All right, so I'm gonna slice these up first. It says to cut them thinly. I don't often talk about knife skills here, but it's something that I think a lot of people could really work on. I see a lot of people with bad knife skills, and it's just kind of dangerous. It's important that your knife is really sharp, and a knife sharpener is one of my kind of key staple tools that I like to have. There are a few ways to hold a knife. I see a lot of people with their finger on top, which is okay, but I don't find you get that much control that way. A lot of people hold it by the handle completely, which I think you also kind of lack a bit of control. My favorite way is to hold the blade. And I know it seems a bit scary because your finger's really close to the end, but if your knife is wide enough, there's really no danger. You're holding the top of the blade. This is the way that I was taught in cooking school, and it's normally the way that I like to use my knife. I just feel like you have so much control. Like there's no flipping and flopping going on. It's like the knife is really an extension of my hand. And fingers tucked always. And then I need 1 whole bunch of cilantro. Really? This is about half of the bunch that I have, but I feel like that is the equivalent of a whole bunch. And it says to use the tender stems as well as the leaves. So I'll just kind of cut the most tough part of the stems off. And then I'll just make sure that when I get to the stems, I'm chopping them a bit finer. Six green onions, and cut those on the bias. I already washed these. So same vibe as the celery. I like the ratio here. It's a celery salad, but there's like loads of cilantro, loads of green onion. I've always been a fan of using herbs as like a main ingredient, more so than just putting a little pinch of herbs in for a little pinch of flavor. I like the full flavor experience. Oh, and a fresh chili. Whoops. I bought a chili yesterday just for this, so I'll thinly slice it. I'm not really gonna add the whole thing. Again, I want kiddo to eat this too. Seeds removed. So I'm just gonna chop up to where the seeds start, and then I'm gonna stop chopping because That's plenty of heat, I think. Tablespoon of fish sauce. I love fish sauce. Definitely one of my favorite seasoning ingredients. 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. So far the ingredients are really similar to the chicken marinade. Just says salt and pepper. I'll do like, I don't know, half a teaspoon. This is just one of those like token salt and pepper. Like, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. It's like either you need salt and pepper or you don't need salt and pepper, you know? Like, fish sauce is salty. Do we need the salt? If so, how much do we need, you know? I don't know. I try to be a little bit more specific with salt quantities. Lime juice, it says 2 tablespoons, which I think is gonna be about 1 lime, so I'll just squeeze it in. 2 tablespoons of canola oil. This is sunflower, and I'm just gonna estimate it. Sesame oil, a tablespoon. Again, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So I remember seeing this thing with Alison Roman where she was like, I'm not really into salad dressings. I'm just into like putting nice flavorful things on salad. And I'm like, well, it's kind of the same thing. Like what we just did here, we added oils and seasonings and flavorful, you know, vinegar and fish sauce to a bowl. We didn't exactly like make a dressing and then dress the salad in it, but it's pretty much the same thing. Don't you think? All right, let's toss this. The color contrast police are not gonna like that I'm putting green celery in a green bowl, but hey, what can you do? I was actually supposed to add a 1/4 cup of olive oil along with the canola and the sesame and all the other stuff, and then I was supposed to drizzle more olive oil on top, but I don't think that this needs any more oil. This is like very dressing-y and it looks good the way it is. So I'm just gonna skip that step and I'm gonna put the sesame seeds on top. And I'll just sneak a little bite here. Oh my God. The sesame seeds do so much. That toasted sesame flavor is so good on this. I'm gonna get cracking on this dessert. So this is the Hibiscus-Roasted peaches with brown sugar breadcrumbs. This is definitely a cook's dessert more than a baker's dessert. There's no pastry involved, there's no cake or anything like that. And there's a bit of stovetop work, so it feels like you're really cooking. It's a great thing to make right now because it's peach season and I got a good deal on peaches. And I also have a lot of hibiscus. I bought this from a bulk order quite a while ago now, and I'm having a hard time going through it all. First up, we had to make the breadcrumbs by melting the butter in a skillet over medium heat. Again, I'm doing a half recipe of this because it seemed like a lot of dessert. Add the fresh breadcrumbs or panko, I used panko, and toss to coat, stirring occasionally. As soon as they started to brown, I added some brown sugar and cooked it until I started to smell brown sugar wafting out. And things got nice and golden, and then I took it off the heat and sprinkled a bit of flaky salt on top. It looks great. Next is preheat the oven. My oven's already hot because the chicken's in it right now. I have to halve and pit the peaches or nectarines. So remembering that this is a half recipe. 3 peaches, 1 for each of us. I'll give them a bit of a wash. So I don't really have a large baking dish. I have this kind of brownie tin. It's gonna have to do. I'm a little bit worried that maybe things will burn in there because brown sugar and syrupy stuff and dark, thin metal might not be the safest bet, but I'm just gonna go for it. We're gonna do our best. So notice I use my fruit cutting board for the peaches because I don't want my peaches to taste like garlic or green onions or anything else I've been chopping. Sprinkle with sugar, add hibiscus, lemon juice, and water. Easy. Half a cup. Remember, that's a quarter cup for me. Quarter cup of hibiscus, so that's 2 tablespoons, which is 1/8 of a cup, if you didn't know that. So I'll just kind of measure half of this thing. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and 1 tablespoon of water. That's it. That's more than a tablespoon, but you know what? I feel like it needs more than that. I'm just gonna add a bit more. And then I guess just shake it up and get it in the oven. It's supposed to bake for 15 to 20 minutes. Let's get them in. And then once those come out, I just have to let them cool a little bit and then serve them over ice cream. I think I'll do yogurt because we have yogurt, and top them with the breadcrumbs. Nice. The chicken is ready. Let's see what it looks like. Let's be real, it looks delicious. I love the pineapple, I love the crispy bits, and I love the sticky syrupy juice. I actually just put on a pot of rice so that we could have something to soak up some of that juice with. I should really let it rest for a few minutes, especially because all that sugar is gonna make this extra hot. But I guess danger is my middle name. Will I make this again? Probably. I'm imagining it would actually be fine with the extra chili paste, even though I left it out because I didn't have enough. It's not super spicy. I think the chicken absorbs the spice quite nicely, and then the sweetness of everything else kind of balances it out. It's great. You know, to be honest, so far I would make all of these things again. Now let's try the peaches. And then I'm gonna spoon a bunch of these really nice looking sugary, buttery breadcrumbs over top. Sugary breadcrumbs, you guys. If you take nothing else away from this video, sugary, buttery breadcrumbs. That's all. That's all you need to know. The peach could be anything. The creamy yogurt, ice cream, whatever, could be anything. It's all about those breadcrumbs. Big fan of this one, definitely making it again. Overall, I found the recipes in this book to be quite flavorful, pretty straightforward. I kind of like the little twists here and there that I wouldn't normally think of myself, like the hot anchovy oil thing on the tomatoes, love that. I like the hibiscus in the peaches, and yeah, big fan of sticky pineapple-y chicken. What more can I say? Thanks so much for joining me today to cook from this book. If you want to see more cookbook test drives, let me know which books you'd like me to do. There's no real fancy selection process with these books. Mostly it's just a question of, do I have it or do I want to buy it? I have gotten requests for the Food Lab, which I don't have and I do want. So I think that might be the next one. But yeah, keep the recommendations coming, and I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.